All right, so all of this, our own weather fears coming after the US President Donald Trump pulled out of that climate accord. And the fear is, of course, that these weather events are becoming more intense and more significant for Africa itself. And this all coming a day after World Environment Day. We didn't get to do this interview yesterday, so let's look at World Environment Day. And we're looking at a different perspective, which is waste. To discuss, we're joined by Jason McNeil from Interwaste, a waste management company. Thank you for being with us, Jason.
Thanks for having me.
So when we talk about waste management, first outline what that is. Is it what I throw in the trash, or companies, huge chemical spills? What are we talking about?
It's a combination of everything. So it's consumer-driven waste, it's manufacturing-driven waste, so as a result of economic activity, and the combination of those two result in approximately 1.4 kilograms of waste generated per person in South Africa on a daily basis.
Wow, that's
and
quite
then
significant.
managing the infrastructure around that in order to dispose of that waste in a sound manner to mitigate potential or future environmental detrimental effects as well.
All right, so let's start with company waste, because that's the big one.
Yes.
You've spoken before about legislation, where we are. How efficient are we in dealing with that waste?
South Africa is actually extremely efficient in dealing with waste, especially from the manufacturing sector. What we've got is we've got a legislative framework.
So this is plastics, chemicals, things like that.
So what we've got is we've got a legislative framework that provides manufacturing sectors or the manufacturing industry with alternatives when it comes to handling of their waste. And if you look at the manufacturing sector, waste is essentially it's a predictor of how well the manufacturing process is performing. So the better manufacturing process is performing, the less amount of waste is going to be disposed of to a landfill site. And what you've got is the manufacturing sector looking at ways to improve the process, reduce the waste, and where there is a waste produced, looking at alternatives to divert that waste from a landfill facility.
Okay.
And at the moment, what you've got companies in South Africa achieving zero waste to landfill.
Which is good. Is it more the carrot? Are there incentives to do that, or is it because we're good on the enforcement of legislation?
We're good on the enforcement of legislation, but if you look at global trends and what's happening locally, we've got a lot of taxes coming in which are driving the cost of conventional disposal up. So the cost of disposing of waste to a landfill is increasing on an annual basis. Often it escalates well beyond inflation. So where inflation is 6.6%, disposal tariffs are increasing by 15, 16, sometimes 20%. So what that's doing is it's acting as a negative incentive. It's changing people's behavior, and what it's doing as well is it's making alternatives a lot more viable.
So explain the waste tax. You suggested that that's coming in, and we've spoken a lot about the carbon tax, and everyone is jumping up and down, and we got used to that. What will the implications of that be? So
what that'll do is that'll accelerate that behavior. It'll accelerate the behavior when the manufacturing or waste generators look for alternatives to landfill. So what the tax is essentially, and it'll be coming in the next year or so, is it's a negative incentive. So for every ton of waste that's disposed of to a landfill site, there'll be a penalty to be paid on every ton of that waste material. And if you source an alternative or you develop alternative technology, you can use now that tax to fund that alternative so that the financial viability of it improves significantly. And the lead time, so where that technology was maybe viable 5 years from now, what that tax now does is it brings that lead time back a lot sooner. So now that technology becomes viable in the next 2 years. So.
All right, we're running out of time, so I want to talk about, in finality, individuals.
Yes.
I feel very guilty. You know, we should worry about our carbon footprint. We should worry about not wasting too much water. Where does waste come into that? And can you make a difference as an individual?
You can make a difference as an individual. I think one of the key areas is, as a consumer, when you're buying packaged products, look at buying product that can be reutilized. So glass bottles is a very good one. So you can recycle glass indefinitely. Where you're looking at buying fruit and vegetables, it doesn't always have to be packaged. You can buy those fruit and vegetables loose. So it's incremental steps, small changes in your lifestyle.
Plastic which can be recycled as well. So what do you avoid? A
lot of material can now be recycled. And the benefit of producing that waste that can be recycled is it creates jobs within the economy, and we're creating a lot of jobs at the moment when it comes to the recovery of that waste material. But I think as a consumer we have a responsibility to reduce the amount of waste that we are producing, just to reduce our environmental impact. And if you look at what's happening with the World Environment Day, what that is essentially about is it's refocusing our attention on what we as a human race are doing and how much waste we're actually producing.
All right, thank you for your time this
Thank you
evening.
very much.
Jason McNeil from Interwaste.